On my 4th birthday, I plucked 6 severed fingers from the shower drain. That is the first sentence of The Lamb by Lucy Rose. This is a horror book that will leave you feeling empty. This was on my most anticipated read for 2025 and this did not disappoint. I gave this book a 4.5. Let's get into why. This book follows Margot and her mum, a mother-daughter duo, and her mum has been making her into a cannibal. She's been feeding her humans. They live in this desolate part of the woods and they lure strays in. These strays can be people that are lost in the woods or people that her mum goes to like intentionally put nails and glass down on the road outside, and so when they get a flat tire they can stumble across their house and they end up into meals for them both to eat. And we get a little bit of their dynamic, and it's not a very healthy dynamic between the two. And then this one particular stray turns up called Eden, and instead of making her a meal out of her, her mum ends up falling in love with her, and it changes the entire dynamic of the household. I was very surprised in the best possible way with this book because I never really read into what I'm going to pre-order. If there is like a list of like most anticipated like queer or horror, like I will just pre-order it and I won't see anything else. And I think that just whittling it down to like queer horror is really doing this like a disservice. It's from Margot's perspective, who is a young child, and we see like her relationship to her mother and how her mother is telling her to act at school. She's told to keep her head down, she has to keep quiet, and she has to make herself smaller, and she also has to do that at home as well. And it's really just disheartening to see. I think that's one thing that's really like people really struggled with this book in the best way, I guess, is seeing this sort of perspective from a child of like abuse and like having food taken away from her. And it was very, very, I would say interesting, but like it was really gorgeously written, and I just felt nothing but like an ache in my chest the entire time I was reading this. The mum is such an interesting character because alongside being a literal cannibal, it sort of just like highlights this like, I just say like generational trauma, like passing it down to her kid, and the fact that she puts so much onto Margot, especially towards the end of the book. It's very, very clear with how much she dislikes Margot and sort of blames Margot for ruining her life. And to have this sort of expectation for a child it genuinely is like heartbreaking. Like other cannibal stories, the cannibalism is metaphor for love, which is, you know, its peak. I love it. I will eat that up. I will. Throughout this book, we see Margot trying to basically, I would say like impress her mother, but basically try and do everything she can to make her mother love her. And I can say this just like contributes to the emptiness you feel when reading this book of, you know, going out and trying to capture people because they haven't eaten in a couple of days and not succeeding at that. And I have to say, like, Margot's character is just like, it's so upsetting for so many reasons because of obviously everything that's happening with her mum and how, you know, coming towards the end of the book that she's like, you don't love me, do you? And her mum's like, her mum just says something along the lines of like, it's not a crime. A lot of mothers don't love their children. And then she's also like starting to draw, and then like she's drawing her in the bath, and then Margot says like, why do you draw me so ugly? And then she like her response is, I'm just drawing what I'm seeing. And it just breaks your heart when you're like, this is from the perspective of a child. Like, it's so devastating. It really is just such devastating writing. This book does not shy away from like subjects that a lot of people sort of dance around when it comes to these cannibalism books, or like books about like relationships and stuff like this. This is not a gory, I wouldn't say that this is like an uber gory book, and I wouldn't say that this is like a shocking or horror, like, you know, horror is definitely like there are horror elements to it. It feels like the relationship in this book is the horror, and the cannibalism is almost like a secondary thing. Like, it's something that you become so used to because you're so shelled out with how these characters interact with each other. Again, this is an incredibly written book. Like, this is a shelled out in the best possible way, is that this is a book that is going to make you feel a lot of emotion. And the ending to this book, spoilers, her mum's like hunger for people and hunger for love becomes so extreme that she ends up eating Margot. When you read these sorts of books, I don't know if it's just me consuming too much like happy media recently, but I was waiting for like her and like her mum and her new girlfriend are talking about eating like Margot, and are going through it, and they keep her home from school for a week and they keep her away from people, and then every single page I was turning going, this is the bit where the good person comes in, this is the bit where someone who was interested in her halfway through the book goes, I should probably check in on her, like, and that just never came. And like, she did so well at listening to her mum and hiding herself and making herself smaller, that she gets killed by them and she gets eaten by them. It's not that like I never thought that like no one could write, but it's definitely a place that it just felt like people don't go there, if that makes sense. Like this, I've read a lot of horror books, but like this is like the book doesn't end there. We get Margot's perspective as like a ghostly figure almost. The day before Margot gets eaten, she decides to eat as much hemlock as possible, which is like sleep inducing or like can basically kill you, and so she eats as much as possible. And so when it comes to her being consumed, not I guess looking to get some sort of vengeance back, or you know, trying to make things easier on herself, and so the final chapters is Margot watching her mum and this woman eat her, and then like them eating her, and she's eaten so much hemlock that they both die, and Margot being alone in this house and facing everything. This book is just hugely impressive for a debut novel. It really is incredible, and there's not really a lot I can say on this, but I did want to just give like a mini review, I guess. But like, this book is really just beyond incredible. The writing is stunning and gorgeous, and this book is quite like, I would say like quite a chunky one. It's, you know, over 300 pages, and I know that a lot of this book is just these characters living in their lives, and again, this might not be for everybody, especially when you hear horror. I think a lot of people might go into this and expect more goriness and stuff like that, but I really think that this is more of like a fic lit sort of like book than a horror. I would definitely recommend this if this is on your list. Like I said, I wouldn't class it like as a horror, to be fair. There are some gory, like I don't want to say like, there are some like gory scenes, like very few, and I really do think it's like the relationships more than, you know, everything else going on. So this is what I was a little bit confused about. Like, I'm not upset about this book, and obviously I absolutely loved it, but I definitely think that if you're coming into this book from this recommendation of like cannibalism and queer people, which is where I came from, I was in for a surprise. I think the conversations are so much more heartbreaking, and seeing these characters play out is genuinely, like, I felt hollow for days. Like this, not in a bad way, but this, like, I couldn't read anything after this because I just needed like okay, we need like 5 minutes away from this book, because it's a lot. This feels like a little mini review, because I really don't think I could say much more on this book, to be honest. Like, I really enjoyed it. This literally has like 70 chapters because it's like 1 to 2 pages per chapter. Love that. I definitely recommend this book. It is a really incredible book, and for a debut as well, it's absolutely mind-blowing. So yes. So if this is on your most anticipated to read this year, let me know, and also let me know what your thoughts were as well. It captures some feelings that I haven't felt in like a book for a while, and I just think it's a really incredibly written book, and it's not going to be for everybody, I feel, but yeah, I think if you want to feel empty, if you need to feel something, and you know, you need some like emptiness and upset in your life, then I would definitely recommend. So thank you so much for watching this video. If you like this video, like, comment, subscribe, all that good YouTube stuff, and I shall see you next time. Bye!